Hi, my name's Christy and this is Lazy Owl Booktube channel where I discuss all things books and comic books. Today I'm going to be doing a wrap-up video for you and just talk about some of the comics and graphic novels that I have read in the last week or so. So the first comic that I read recently was Black Hammer, Secret Origins, and this is a comic that's been out for a couple of years by Dark Horse. It's by Jeff Lemire, Dean Ormston and Dean Ormston and Dave Stewart. So this was a really great comic and it follows this kind of ragtag group of superheroes, but they find themselves stranded in this kind of small town and they're trying to keep secret their real identity. They don't know how they ended up there. They're in this town, but they can't leave. For some reason, they can't leave the town either, and they all have these quirky, different superhero abilities. This was a really weird and wacky, different take on your normal superhero comics, and I really enjoyed it. The artwork was kind of strange and eerie, but I really liked it and it really worked for this comic. I actually rated this one 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it and I'm going to be checking out and seeing if there's many more of these. This was first published, I think, in 2017, so as long as it was pretty popular, there should be a few more volumes of these out, so I'm definitely going to be looking for those. Waywood is another comic that I've heard some really good things about, and so I decided to get a copy of this from my local library. So it's Waywood String Theory, and this follows a girl who her parents have split up and she travels to Japan to live with her mum. And there's all these weird things that start happening to her. She starts seeing these weird colourful lines. So for example, she gets lost trying to get back to her place in the city, and all of a sudden she sees this colourful line and it leads her to where she wants to go. And so this was quite graphic. I will give a bit of a trigger warning. There is some self-harm in this. It was very violent, which what I wasn't really quite expecting. It was quite interesting. I have to say it took a little bit for this particular comic to draw me in and get me hooked. I did enjoy probably the latter half of the comic more so, but as I said, it is quite graphic and violent, so if you have any of those self-harm triggers, please give this one a miss. I did quite enjoy it, and I will give this another go for the later volumes probably and see how that goes. I did rate this one 4 out of 5 stars. The artwork was quite good and the storyline was quite intriguing, particularly towards the end. So yeah, so that one was 4 out of 5 stars and I will continue on with that series. So next I'm going to be talking about some single issue comics that I got this week from my local comic book store, and there's a couple of first issue comics in there as well in case anyone's looking out for some new comics to get hooked onto. So the first comic that I'm going to discuss is Old Haunts, and this is a new comic publisher that I haven't read before, and this was quite an interesting premise, and I initially picked it up. I saw an article about it and I thought it sounded really interesting. So it focuses on these 3 different characters. They're clearly from a bit of a criminal world and they've done some pretty awful things in their life. And the premise of this is that what if ghosts are real? What if the reason that there are ghosts is in order for us to remind us of all the horrible, awful things that we've done in life. And so that's kind of the premise of this, and that's where Old Haunts comes from, and the kind of eerie idea of ghosts and where they come from, and it's a little bit of a different take on that. So I won't say much more than that in case you want to pick it up, but that gives you a little bit of an idea of where this particular comic's headed. So this one I think has a lot of potential. The artwork was just okay. I'm pretty picky with my artwork, but it wasn't bad either. I think overall I rated this 4 out of 5 stars, and I think I will pick up issue 2 just to see where the story's going and see if there's more potential there. Another comic that I have heard a lot of hype about leading up to the release has been Adventure Man. So this is one that I recently picked up, and I have to say, going into it, I didn't really know much about it. I just heard all this hype, so I thought, why not pick it up and see what all the hype's about. And I have to say, the first half I was a bit disappointed. I thought, I don't know if I'm really going to enjoy this. But by the second half, the story really switched direction completely, and I really enjoyed the second half. And so if you do pick this up, don't be perturbed by the first part of this, because I don't think that really sets the premise of how this comic is going to continue. And this comic was quite, I can see that it's going to be quite diverse, and I love things that feature feminism, and I think that this is gonna probably go in that particular direction rather than having this bravo macho man that's the superhero. I think it's going to be the woman, but we'll have to wait and see. So I actually really quite enjoyed this in the end. I did give it 4 out of 5 stars, only because the first half wasn't really for me. It was a longer first issue than some other comics, so it did let you kind of get a bit of the storyline along the way. The artwork was kind of fun. I quite enjoyed the artwork, so that's why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I think if the first half had have pulled me in more quickly, it definitely would have been a 5 out of 5 star rating. So that's one definitely that I think I will continue on with further issues with this one, so that was really enjoyable. If you've seen any of my previous videos where I talk about comics and what I've read this year, I have often described Red Mother and how much I really enjoy that comic. So this is issue 5. Yes, issue 5. And whilst I have really been enjoying these, it is a very slow moving story. There's this creepy character that appears to this woman. You can see him on the front, him or her on the front here. And whilst I am still really enjoying this series, I feel like I just want the series to move on a little bit more quickly now. I feel like the pacing is getting a bit old. You get these little tiny teasers that make you want to read more, but I feel like I just want a little bit more at the moment to keep me going on with this. But at the same time, I still want to get the next issue. So I really like the artwork in these comics, and I can tell that there is something sinister going on and we don't know what it is. There's a bit of a mystery there, and so that part of it is just making me want to know what is going on. So I just can't kind of put down this series. I can't leave it. I have to continue on with it. I have to know kind of where this is going. So this one I normally rate these, I think, 5 out of 5 stars most of the issues, but this one I think, because I was a little bit disappointed, I've had such a long wait for the series to continue and I was hoping for more, so that's why I'm giving this one 4 out of 5 stars rather than the full 5 out of 5 stars that I might have given in the past for the earlier issues. So just in case you aren't aware of the premise of this particular comic, I have mentioned it in my previous review videos, but this is about a woman who has her and her partner get attacked, and her partner dies and she survives, but she has one of her eyes is damaged and she has surgery, and her eye heals, but she still has problems with it, and every so often she will see red. She'll see red out of that eye, and she starts seeing this creature who's this person here, this creature here, keeps seeing that every so often, and she thinks she's going crazy. So that kind of is, I won't say more than that because there's more that goes on as well, but if you are interested, I do also know that the trade paperback is out at the moment. So the first trade paperback of this is out, so if you do want to get your hands on that, if you're not into reading single issue comics, then that trade paperback is out, and it is quite a good story, and I would purchase trade paperback if I hadn't read the single issues. So yeah, that's that one. Excellence is a comic that I started last year, and we're up to issue 7 now. So I have talked about this one previously as well. This one is about a man who it's an urban fantasy, and he's in this world where some people have magic, but there is a lot of rules and regulations in relation to what you're allowed to do with magic, when you're allowed to cast spells, things like that. So it's very regimented, very controlled, and he has this very fraught, fragile relationship with his father. His father is very hard on him. He has a lot of expectations placed upon him, and this comic is really the journey of this man and how he is coping with this regimented society that tries to control this magic, and he's really bucking against the system. And I've been quite enjoying this series. I would like to reread issues 1 to 6 because it has been quite a big break between the last issue and this issue. I need to get my head around where the story's at again, because I felt like going into this comic issue I couldn't quite remember where we were at with the storyline, so I am thinking I might do a reread of the earlier issues. But this is one that I'm really enjoying, and this issue is quite good. The artwork in this is good. It's a bit more gritty, and it just really works for the type of story that it is, and it's one that I'm glad that I'm continuing on with. So I think I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars, and it's one that I'm enjoying, and yeah, I do think that I'll be doing a reread of the earlier issues sometime soon. So those are the comics and the trade paperbacks that I have read recently. If you've read any of these, please comment below, or if any of them sound interesting to you, please comment below and let me know. I love talking about comics and graphic novels and trade paperbacks, all of the above, so please comment below, and I hope to see you in the next video. And if you enjoyed this video, please remember to hit the like button, and I'll see you next time.